Good afternoon, folks. This afternoon's topic are the two faces of Alzheimer's. So here we go with the speech I made for you. Please enjoy. Good afternoon. We gather today as leaders of systems built to care for communities across generations. And yet there is a crisis unfolding quietly inside those communities, one that does not strike evenly, one that does not behave uniformly, one that demands a more precise, more honest, more gentler, more, more gender aware response from all of us. Alzheimer's disease is not a single story, it is two. The hidden architecture of risk. For decades, we have spoken about Alzheimer's as if it were a monologue, a disease that arrives late in life, progresses predictably, and affects men and women in roughly the same way. But the science tells us different, tells us a different story, a more complicated story, a story with consequences for every health system in this country. Two-thirds of Americans living with Alzheimer's are women. That is not simply because women live longer. It is because women's brains age differently. When estrogen falls abruptly during menopause, the brain loses a metabolic shield it has relied on for 40 years. Glucose processing falters, amyloid begins to accumulate, tau spreads more aggressively, neuroinflammation rises, and because women often have stronger verbal memory throughout life, early decline is masked until it isn't. When symptoms finally surface, they tend to fall faster. Men, meanwhile, often enter Alzheimer's through a different door, the vascular door. Decades of hypertension, diabetes, or silent strokes carve small injuries into the brain. Their decline may be slower, more uneven, more entangled with blood vessels and plaques, and their symptoms often appear first as changes in behavior, irritability, impulsivity, agitation. Families describe it as a personality unraveling rather than a memory fading. Some disease, same disease, different biology, different trajectory, different burden. The caregiving burden, and who bears it. And then there is the second truth: Alzheimer's affects women twice. Women are more likely to develop the disease and more likely to care for someone who has it: daughters, wives, sisters, neighbors. They absorb the emotional labor, the medical coordination, the financial strain. They experience higher rates of depression, insomnia, and chronic illness. Their careers are interrupted, their retirement savings shrink. This is not a private problem, it is a workforce problem, a health system problem, a national economic problem. Why this matters for health system leaders. If women's Alzheimer's is driven by menopause related metabolic collapses, then prevention must begin earlier, in midlife, not old age. If men's Alzheimer's is more vascular, then blood pressure control and diabetes management become frontline dementia interventions. If women decline faster once symptoms appear, then diagnostic tools must adjust for verbal memory advantages that mask early disease. If if men present with behavioral symptoms first, then frontline clinicians must be trained to recognize Alzheimer's even when memory is intact. And if caregiving remains overwhelmingly female, then long term care policy must stop pretending the burden is evenly distributed. It is not just science, it is strategy. What health systems must do next? Invest in midlife brain health screening, especially for women entering menopause. Build vascular focused dementia prevention programs targeting men with chronic disease. Train clinicians in sex specific diagnostic patterns. Memory first, um, memory first, decline in women. Behavioral first, decline in men. Expand caregiver support infrastructure. Respite care, navigation services, and employer aligned benefits. Integrate precision medicine pathways, recognizing that Anti-amyloid therapies may behave differently across sexes. This is not optional upgrades. They are structural corrections. Imagine two people standing at the edge of the same river. The water is Alzheimer's, cold, relentless, rising, but the current pulls differently depending on who you are. Women are swept in earlier, carried faster, and often pulled under by forces rooted in biology. Then they never choose. Men enter from different angles, sometimes later, sometimes more abruptly, often with behaviors that strain the family long before memory fails. Same river, different currents. Our system must learn to swim both in both. We have the science, we have the data. We need now is leadership, your leadership to build a future where Alzheimer's care is not genetic, not reactive, and not blind to the differences that shape the lives of millions. Thank you. Okay, guys, that is your a